Canon Puncture, episode 101. Yay!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Canon Puncture Show. This is Rich here, bringing you another one of the Game Advocates series. I've got a treat for you. I have with me a con GM who runs 6 games in one slot. That's 7 in one blow, and very nearly. This is Adam Dray. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm doing great. Hi, guys.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, so Adam, what is this game that you're advocating for here?
Today I'm advocating My Life with Master. It's a game by Paul Sega.
What is this game?
This is a game where you get to play the minions of an evil master. You can play it in a sort of lighthearted way, or you can play it in a very serious, dark way. The game is kind of about what happens when someone has total control over you and can make you do terrible things. How do you deal with that situation? And then, how do you eventually overcome this evil person in your life and take them down?
What makes this game different?
Well, I think, first of all, to take on something like the subject matter of really like abuse is kind of a cool thing, but it doesn't have to be all angsty like that. I think the game's different because it's really tight in the rule set. It's not a very big book, it's just a handful of really clever rules that make play come out a certain way, and it's a lot of fun.
So you get this angsty game about abuse. Is it kind of gothic themes or?
Yeah, generally you play it. It's you set in like an 1800s European town in in the mountains somewhere, and the master lives in the castle somewhere, and the players all create the master. They might create like a Frankenstein, or they might create some very intellectual mastermind. Everybody works together. They create who this master is and the town they live in. Then they create their minions, and and when I play, I like to have each player tell me why their minion has to do what the master says. Are they being blackmailed, or are they afraid of the master? Sometimes they'll be like, well, it's my dad and I need his love. It sounds dark, and it can be, but even when you're playing these terrible, dark, drama games, the players are laughing because it's so awful that you have to laugh. It's really a lot more fun than it sounds sometimes.
Well, it sounds like with all these kind of horror themes, I don't know, why wouldn't I play this with Call of Cthulhu?
I think, with Call of Cthulhu, you're facing unspeakable evil, but you can't do anything about it. You can shoot terrible things for the depths with your shotgun as much as you want, but in the end you're going to go insane and you're going to lose. The structure of My Life with Master tends towards this thing where it starts out really bad and the master's making you do terrible things, and over time your character is gaining love, gaining connections with people and in the town, and eventually they get strong enough that they get to go confront the master and kill him. And that's just such a great moment when you've put up with this craptastic master for this game session, and finally you get to face him down and end it. It's kind of cathartic.
Yeah, you kind of touched on it here, but tell me a little bit more. What's the subject of the game at the table? What are the players actually doing?
The way the game's kind of structured is the minions have to do what the master says, and the master always knows everything. Sort of this extreme power situation. And so as a GM, you say, okay, I'm playing the master, and you pick a minion and you say, okay, the master comes to you and tells you, I need you to go into town and steal this book for me. And so you've given the character an order, and the player has to decide, am I just going to do this, or am I going to try to resist? And there's a roll, and you can try to resist. And if you fail, it weakens you, but then you have to do what the master's told you. So then you've got your character going off in the town, and you've got to do your best to try to carry out those orders. And they could be terrible things. So, go kill your parents, or go kill this other minion's parents. Or they might just be, stealing stuff or other villainous crimes.
Okay.
As the players play, I always tell them, look, your goal here is to get enough love that you can grow strong and kill the master. So always try to subvert the master. Always try to figure out a way to take a scene that you're playing in and twist it a little bit so that you can turn it into the kind of scene where you can make the role that's getting the love you want.
What do you normally warn new players about?
I warn them that the game can get dark, and that as a GM, I'll make it as dark as they want me to. And usually players are into that. They're like, come on, bring it on. No limits. And I'm like, really? How about, rape? And they're like, okay, we don't really want rape in this, How about children? No children. Yeah, okay. See, I knew you didn't mean anything. But, you like to talk through some of the limits of where you want to go with things, especially at a con. You don't want to be having those games out in the public table somewhere. And I think you warn them that, look, this game is only going to work because I'm going to be as terrible a master as I possibly can. And that's the way the game plays. And in the end, I promise I will make sure that you get to kill the master. Because I think that's an important cycle of the game. It's that makes me, as a GM, able to do the crap that I do at the table. Because it's a really a psychological game. And if you're poking at players and trying to find out what makes them squirm, then in the end, the master's got to die.
I'm sorry. Is this a one-shot game?
I have never played it any other way. I can't imagine waiting a week between doing all this stuff to the minions and really their players, and them finally getting their revenge. Though I think it could be sweeter, if they have to wait. But I've always played it as a one shot. It plays pretty nicely in 4 to 6 hours.
Okay. What are some of your favorite moments at the table?
In general, the moments where the characters the players have been pushing me to see basically how far I'll go with it, and I'll find that one thing that they're all hinting at, by creating their characters with this weakness or this, this vulnerability to the master. Mm-hmm. And I'll push that button really hard, and everyone at the table will go, but they'll be laughing because they wanted that, it's like the thriller movie where you're waiting for that horrible moment and it finally comes and you can't look away. So, those are the moments I shoot for. To get like story specifics.
Yeah. You got any war stories?
Oh, I have a terrible memory for these things. I think the moments where I think I've had some situations where characters have worked really hard to build up love relationships, and they're investing all their points of their connections in like this one NPC. I think one of the players had made a friend with a barmaid, and they were becoming close friends. Maybe there was even a romantic interest. And they did something to just tick off the master, lied or something like that. And so as the master, I think the character came back to the mansion or whatever, and sitting at the dinner table with him when he came to dinner was his girlfriend.
Oh.
And there was this feeling of, oh no, what's going to happen next? And you start building that tension because the master's brought the girlfriend in for something terrible. And, often the players will concoct these situations like, well, the master needs to drain the souls of people to power this, terrible contraption they're designing. That's actually come up like 2 different times from different player groups for some reason. So you're going to see this poor barmaid, strapped to a chair with blood draining out of her at some point.
You're not even going to tell me what you did to her. Oh.
I don't remember the specifics, honestly, but terrible things happen in these games.
What do you mentioned already, but what are some other things that you see players loving about the game?
There's a mechanic it's called intimacy, desperation, and sincerity. The dice systems, this real quick, roll a bunch of d4s and total them up. You get to throw away 4s to make it quicker. But anyway, there are these 3 dice: the intimacy die, the desperation die, and the sincerity die. And to get them, you have to have your character do something that's intimate, desperate, or sincere. And intimacy is easy. Your character can, or the master might brush somebody's hair, or some contact, bring them food, something simple. Desperation, you have to actually sound desperate. And then sincerity is the really hard one to get. You have to genuinely show concern for the other person. And players, they want to argue their case that they're being sincere, and everyone else at the table will be like, no, I don't buy it. You're just desperate. So they won't get that die 8 sincerity die.
So wait, it's up to the other players?
Yeah, it's up to the table, basically. Do we believe that you're actually sincere here? No.
I think that's some horror right there.
Yeah.
So tell me, Adam, why do some people hate My Life with Master?
People hate My Life with Master?
Sure.
I've never met any. I really haven't. I've run this game, like I said, I'll run 6 games at a con in a 4-hour slot. And My Life with Master is often one of the ones that I'll do. And in that 45 minutes or whatever, I'll take players who have never played an indie game, and they'll love this game. Why would people hate this game? I guess people who like very traditional combat style games. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot for the combat, person here. It's going to be a single die roll that, resolves every scene. Combat is distilled down to violence against others, and you roll once, and then narrate. So it's not really about, tactical combat. If you don't like angsty games, I guess you could play this entirely as a comedy. I've never done that. It's always been on the table, but nobody's gone that way.
Cool. So it sounds like it's not a very hateable game. That's good.
Yep.
Adam, is there anything else about My Life with Master you'd like to share?
I think it has a pretty cool end game thing. When you're done playing, when you've finally killed the master, you get to look at some of the numbers on your character sheet, because your stats change through play. And by looking at a couple different real easy formulas, like is your wariness greater than your reason plus self-loathing, you get to choose a different end for your character. Like, is your minion killed? Does he destroy himself? Does he integrate with the town? Or does he become a master in his own right? And players really love that. They might even angle towards, I want to become my own master, Or they might, a lot of people choose to destroy themselves, probably because they did so many terrible things that they can't imagine living on. But you can have these sort of ironic or sad endings, or these hilarious endings.
That's really interesting. It's so unique to find games that have role-playing games that have an in-game mechanic.
It's nice sometimes to end the story.
Yeah, it is. Well, Adam, I really appreciate you taking some time to advocate for My Life with Master.
I love talking about the game.
Cool.
Thank you.
We had such potential. Such promise.